Afternoon, it's Pat Walker, Mission Winners, doing a video overview of the ETFs. Biotechnology is below the 200-day, that's the purple line. It's below the falling 50-day, below all the moving averages. The only saving grace is it's got a higher low. Okay, that's it. But it is below the moving averages, not real leadership right there. Cloud computing also has a higher low. This low is higher than this low, but watch this. Look at how far this is below the 200-day. Wow, okay. But again, one of the saving graces is this does have a higher low. This low is higher than this low. That's a plus. That's a plus. Electric vehicles, similar situation. Below all the moving averages, this low is higher than this low. Had a decent close too. Okay, that's a plus. Dow Jones Internet, it has a higher low, but this dropped pretty hard and almost took out the lows from 2 weeks ago. So not a lot of power in internet. Be careful with that. IBD 50 took out the lows from a week ago. This is the index of leading stocks, right? The ETF of leading stocks. And it took out the lows. It's demonstrating real weakness. I'd be concerned with that, okay? That's not a criticism of the IBD 50. No way. It's just an observation that these stocks that are vetted are underperforming, and that is a negative. Gold miners, it's acting okay, higher low, but it's below all the moving averages, nothing really special. Gold, it's got a lower low. Look at that. I mean, that, folks, that's not good. What does that tell you in 1 second? Stay away from gold stocks. Done. That's it. You don't need to overthink it. Another biotechnology ETF has a higher low. That's a plus. It is below the 200-day and below the 50-day, so it needs to show some power. Okay, online retail has a higher low, but this thing gapped down and look at where it closed. You see this? Take a note of where things open and close. This closed in the bottom third of its range for the day on a not any good. Stay away from that group. Oil and gas, another oil and gas ETF that's underperforming here. Okay, one thing I will say though, it has a decent base. It has a decent base here, but it fell also. Team, everybody, everything was pretty rotten here this week. But note this, this is above, compare and contrast this with other ETF industry groups. This is above the rising 50-day, all right? How many others are? Okay, you see the green line? I'm gonna show you something here, and then we'll get back to EIO, below the falling 50-day, below the falling 50-day, below the rising 50-day, below the flat 50-day, a little bit below the rising 50-day, but really lagging. Oops, got this wrong here. Hold on. There we go. The next one, below the falling 50-day, way below the falling 50-day. A little bit below the falling 50-day, has a higher low. Online retail has a higher low, but not by much. You see the difference here? That's what we look for. IEO has a higher low. See that? See the difference? I just showed you some that were really ugly. This has a higher low. Has a decent base there too. Oil and gas exploration. But it needs to start pushing through the 21-day with some power. Okay, be aware of that. Lower low. So, technology, software. What does this tell us? In 1 second, it says, stay away from software. Be careful with software. Done. That's it. That's power. There's power in knowing what to buy. There's power in knowing what not to buy. At Mission Winners, we teach both. Medicine's hanging in there, okay? Pushed up and then fell right back. That's like the poster child for the market. Stuff goes up and it's just, there's not a lot of power here. This does have a higher low. This low is higher than this low. That's a plus. But again, not a tremendous amount of power. We'll just watch and see what happens. Mid cap, see the lows here? The low on this bar is 236.10, 236. This actually has a lower low. Mid caps are lagging. Be careful. There we go. U.S. home construction, lower low, substantial lower low. Had a decent day on Friday. Okay, that's good, but not a lot of power there. Be careful. S&P 500 growth, lower low, not a lot of power there. Be careful. IWM, lower low, small caps. Be careful. Airlines, yeah, higher low, but it doesn't look so good. You're not going to see this setup in many books saying, this is what you look for to buy. You really want to key on stuff below the falling 200-day. No, you don't. No, you don't. Buy strength. Focus on strength. Regional banking, high or low? That's okay. It's below the 200-day, but it looks better than some of the others. Mid cap, low or low? Look at that. Be careful with mid cap. Oil, services, high or low? Needs to push through these tops. I've got a price alert set on this. Oil services. We'll see what happens. Crude oil, high or low, but it's below the 200-day. That's not a lot of power, folks. And it fell on really heavy volume on this bar. Be careful with that. Low or low. Online retail, low or low. That's not the stuff the dreams are made of. Infrastructure, low or low. This low, lower than this low. Not a lot of power. Pharmaceuticals, high or low, but gosh, it's below the 200-day, the falling 50-day. It's below all the moving averages. Not a lot of power there, folks. Be careful with the pharmaceuticals. NASDAQ 100, low or low. This low, lower than this low. By the way, you can say, where's a higher low? This is a higher low. You see this low versus this low? And this low versus, that's a higher low right here. Started to pick up, buys in here, and it worked. It worked. There you go. That's what you're looking for. Contrast this, higher low, lower low, not as enough power. Same thing's true with QQQ, RTH, retail, lower low, not a lot of power. Cloud computing, double bottom, but not a lot of power there either, okay? Be careful with that, with cloud computing. Silver, that's hanging in decent. Look at that. Silver, something to maybe look at. Silver or silver stocks. There we go. Steel's lagging, nothing to do with it. Semiconductors lagging, not a lot of power there. Spiders hit a new low. Lower low. One thing that was interesting was it closed pretty strong. Closed near the highs on Friday on a pickup in volume. That is a plus. That is a plus. By the way, you see this low versus this low? See the low here and the low here? That was a buy right there. That was a good run. And it worked also with SSO. There you go. SSO fell and closed near the highs with a pickup in volume. Okay? That is something to maybe take a look at. All right? There you go. But it does have a lower low, so still be cautious here. Err to the side of caution. There's just not a lot of great candidates here. Solar. Now look at this. I just showed you stocks, a bunch of them below the 50-day and the 200-day. Look at that, basing. What does that tell us? There you go. Look at some solar stocks. There's my gift to you. There you go. I'm not saying they're going to go, but it's outperforming a lot of other ETFs, right? You can't deny it. Lower low on small cap leverage. Uranium dropped pretty hard here on a pickup in volume. It was looking good, but it's lost a little bit of leadership. Oil, higher low. But, you know, it's below the moving averages. Got to be really careful with that, okay? Higher low, there you go. Lower low on aerospace and defense. Biotechnology, yeah, it's below the falling 200-day. It's hanging in, but it fell on pretty heavy volume on Friday, folks. Fell on pretty heavy volume right here, too. So there's some selling there. Be cautious with that. Lower low on home builders. Okay, be careful with that. Materials. Select materials. See this? Materials, look at that. It's underperforming. Avoid materials. That simple. Energy is just basing here. Fell on fairly heavy volume on Friday. Needs to show some power. Be careful with that. Financials, high or low, needs to show some power. One plus is this. It closed near the highs on Friday on a pickup in volume. There you go. But this is not, you know, this is not the high probability stuff that you look for. Industrials, look at this. Folks, this thing's been dropping on volume. It's telling you, avoid the industrial stocks. That's power for us. Technology, XLK, look at this. Look at this thing dropping. Lower lows. Technology, it's telling you what? Be careful with technology stocks. Most people don't know that. You do. Consumer staples lagging, be careful with that. Had a decent day on Friday. That's about all we can say. All right. Utilities, defensive, it's okay. It's above the 50-day, but it's slow. I mean, it's utilities. Healthcare's high or low. That's good to see. Needs to show some power through the 50-day and the 200-day. There we go. And XLY, consumer discretionary, has a higher low. That's not too bad. Upward sloping trend line or moving average on the 50-day, close near the highs on a pickup in volume. Okay, you can punch up XLY and see if there's anything that looks good in that group. Metals and mining, this is telling you stay away. Look at this thing dropping on increasing volume. Avoid metals and mining, done. There's an oil and gas exploration, found support on the 50-day, but has a lower low. Not a lot of power here. Look at, there's just not a lot of power. Retail, higher low, but not a lot of power. Be careful with that. Software, no power. So now let's take a look at the MAXLIST stocks. Apple fell down, gap down, fell, and closed near the highs on a pickup in volume. That could be a potential bounce. Potential, I said. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This is a higher risk setup. Now, I'd like to show you something. I'll do a compare and contrast. This is a lower low. This low is lower than this low. This is a higher low. This low is higher than this low, and that was a catalyst for to buy a couple of different times. This was on the key list. And that, we're talking 140 to 150, all the way up to 170. That's good money. There you go. That was on the key list. And note the trend up the 8-day. That's the higher low setup. This is a lower low. This is a higher low. This low is higher than this low. I just want to explain this. This is a pattern I developed a long time ago. What's it showing? It's showing a reversal from weakness to potential strength. It's falling. It's falling. Oh, it fell, but it didn't fall as low as that low. That's the higher low setup. There you go. Amazon, higher low setup here versus here, right? And that had two buys in it right here, and that was a good move. That was a great move. So now what do we have here? You have a lower low. This low is lower than this low. By the way, I'm not being negative, please. There's a great quote. I never met a wealthy pessimist. Oh man, we love buying stocks. We love it, but we want to do it at the right time. That's simple. We stack the deck in our favorite mission winners, and it helps us. This is a lower low. This low is lower than this low. But what do you notice? Right here, it closed near the highs on heavy, heavy volume. Take it to the 10-minute chart. You say, oh, there was some volume into the close. Take it to the 30-minute chart. There was some volume into the close. Maybe it will follow through on Monday. I'm not saying buy it, please. No, I'm just saying maybe it will follow through. But it's below the moving averages. Be careful with that. All right? Compare and contrast this right here. This is a higher low setup, and it was right near the 50-day. Right here, it's well below the 50-day. There you go. Continue on. Alibaba, there's nothing good here. Nothing. Just forget it. Compare and contrast. You can say, oh, look, that closed near the highs. Oh, look. That closed near the highs. Here's Alibaba. Oh, look. That closed near the lows. See the difference? What does that say? And it's below all the moving average. Leave it alone. Forget it. Look at that. You can say, oh, it closed near the highs. Look at this waterfall drop. We just stay away from crud like that. Stack the deck in your favor. I'm asking you. You'll be better for it. So there we go. And the reason we do this is to help you. Now, Google has a lower low, did close near the highs. That's a plus, right? But gosh, there was some selling in here, folks. That's an aggressive entry. This isn't buying strength, okay? So be careful with that. Meta lagging, nothing to do with it, right? I mean, look at how it closed. That's nonsense. Microsoft closed near the highs, okay? But it's a lower low. This low is lower than this low. Heavy selling volume right here. This was a higher low setup. This low was higher than this low. And you see that base right there? It was on the key list. And it made a nice move. Right here, you don't have that. Netflix. Just going sideways right here, exhibiting a little bit of power, as you can see. Compare and contrast this to a lot of other stocks. This looks better. But let's just take a look here and see how it looks on the bigger picture. Oh, that ain't so good. Stock was up here at 700 and it's trading here at 240. You know what this is called? This is called overhead supply, folks. Every time this thing goes up, there's going to be sellers going, thank God I'm near my price. I'm selling. Be aware of that. So there's Netflix, but it did have some good volume up on Thursday and Friday. There you go. Possible. But again, here's the weekly chart. Whoa. All I can say is, whoa. Be careful with that. Lot of overhead supply. So if you buy, go smaller. Very aggressive. NVDA, lower lows. This was a higher low setup. You see this low was higher than this low? There was buys right here. That was a good run. Lower low had decent volume pickup on Friday, but man, it's pretty tough down here. I'm not saying it won't work, but tougher. There's a compare and contrast. Look at this. This had a higher low setup, and that was a great run. Then you see this little base right here? I'll make this bigger for you. You see the base right there? See it lift through there? See the volume pickup on that bar? See the clean and simple tops? That was a buy right there. It's a MAXLIST stock. I bought it right there. Runs up, sells into strength, starts to drop, sell more. Just pocketing right here, all right? Started to push up, backed off, sold some more. We're in great shape. Maybe next week it will go across these tops and do so on heavy volume in a good market. And if it does, it will either be a new buy or an add-on, because this was the buy down here. Look at that. That's good money, folks. That's real good money in a crummy market. There it is. That's what we look for. Continue onwards. Twitter, news and everything else fell on, I'd be careful with it. Stock's been good to us before. Anyway, there's the major index ETFs and there's the MAXLIST. I would say this, just the big picture, I would just err to the side of caution. Don't force things here, all right? If you buy, just buy less shares.
Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. Maybe hit that subscribe button. We come up with new content nearly every day. Also, check out the videos on the right. YouTube recommends the one on the top, and the bottom one is something we thought you might enjoy. See you next time.